almost 10 years old, everything in our family started unraveling. My brother was actually diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My father cheated on my mother. My mom, hoping to save her marriage, decided to move our family away from the rest of our extended family. Like, we lived in a basement apartment. I wasn't sure what was happening. Was pretty shocking, and I would say a little bit traumatizing too. My name is Terrence Ho, and I am a privileged Chinese Canadian man. I'm also the son to Mimi and a brother to Torrance. So I was born in Hong Kong in the early 80s. And then my family made the decision to immigrate to Canada in the late 80s, mainly because they were afraid of Hong Kong being taken back by China. Thankfully, we had some families already in Canada, so we weren't starting from scratch, and we had a home base in Toronto. In Canada, I mainly spent my time with my grandparents and my parents, and thankfully some of my uncles and aunts and cousins. So I grew up in a pretty much traditional Chinese family, and I guess the stereotypical family is one where people don't show emotions much and don't express. So I grew up in an environment where my models of expression is not to express. And when it does, it typically comes out as passive aggressive, sometimes no emotions, and a lot of politeness. So when I was growing up, that's what I witnessed a lot. A couple of years after we immigrated to Canada, my brother was actually diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So my brother was diagnosed when he was around 6 years old. So I would have been almost 10 years old. And once he got the diagnosis, everything in our family started unraveling. We found out my father cheated on my mother. My grandmother has always been critical of my father. So when that happened, my mom, hoping to save her marriage, decided to move our family away from the rest of our extended family. We lived in a basement apartment, and it was a big change. Looking back, it was pretty traumatic, because then a lot more responsibility was put on me and to helping my brother. But at the same time, I was going through my unknowing, because I wasn't sure what was happening, but I felt all these emotions, didn't know how to express it. So with all these changes in our life, all of a sudden, was pretty shocking, and I would say a little bit traumatizing too.
Let's talk about your relationship with your brother. How was that?
I would say, so I don't remember when we were really young. I could only remember via photos. And there was this photo of me when we were in Hong Kong, because both Torrance and I were born in Hong Kong. And there's this picture of me just with my arms wrapped around him. And to me, that speaks volumes of our relationship. Yeah, I've always been there to protect him. Yeah.
And when you found out he was going through, when they found out he was 6, right? Mm-hmm. How was it for you?
So I didn't understand the condition, because no one really talked about it. But for a couple of years, I thought it was my fault. And the reason for that was, a year before his diagnosis, we got into a bicycle accident and I broke his leg. And when he got the diagnosis and started stumbling, for a couple of years, I was like, oh shoot, am I the one that caused his condition? And no one talked to me about it. So for a couple of years after my brother's diagnosis, I had this feeling of guilt that it was me that caused it. But I remember one incident where a family friend was picking on my brother, and this is around the same time when his symptoms start showing. I remember rallying all my cousins and all my friends from the street, and we went and fight back. I was like, no one's gonna pick on my brother. That has remained the same even up to this day. I feel this really strong connection to him. Yeah, in terms of just being his older brother and being there to sort of like be there with him to like navigate this life. And I guess with his condition, like once he got the diagnosis, like I feel like I played a big part in his life.
I'm actually curious about the emotion too, Terrence. What do you think that's about?
I'm not sure. It feels like I just feel like crying. Thinking about the relationship I have with my brother.
Yeah. What is it like? What is it reminding you? Is it the connection, or is it what he has to go through, or just the bonding, the love, or all of it? It could be.
I definitely feel it's all of it. Yeah, I definitely feel it's all of that.
Would you describe what that is?
I think it's just all the things that we've like gone through together as siblings. Yeah, because we've gone through a lot of stuff. At least for myself, it's like, oh yeah, I was somehow making that commitment to like stick by my brother. So even just like going through this process of our parents going through their like separation, which like took a long time. It wasn't like a quick divorce. It's like years and years, and for us like navigating that together. Yeah, and just his experience of growing up was very different because of his condition. He also got a lot more attention than I did. So even our growing up experience was very different too. And perhaps that's why some of those tears may be even like just sadness for myself. I know the reasons why like energy and focus were like on my brother. So there was also some sadness that, I also did not receive the same like attention and love as well. Yeah, I'm sure that's also where some of my emotions are coming from too. It's like a shared experience with my brother, but also very differing experiences as we were growing up as well. And so definitely for myself, I definitely felt very much alone in the process because no one really talked to me about what was happening. And I had to just like try to figure it out, even like trying to understand like what is going on with my mother and father, even though I've heard the arguments and stuff, but I didn't fully understand. And so my coping mechanism was, because having grown up in an environment where people don't share emotions in healthy ways, I quickly coped by doing the same, put on my mask and pretended everything or acted as everything was okay at like the age of like 11, 12. But it didn't always work out well because I would then lash out or be angry or get frustrated. In my mask, I would just be silent. I remember in grade 5, like my teacher and my classmates would call me like the thinker because they won't hear me say anything. Another example I have of like me not know how to express, so it comes out in tantrum, and I still remember this vividly, is I remember going to the mall, and my mom, my brother, and I, we would spend a bit of time in malls. I was in a bookstore and I really wanted a book. My mom's like, you can't buy it. And I decided to throw a tantrum in the middle of the mall by like just like falling down like in front of the bookstore and like screaming. And that was my way of like wanting to be seen and heard by my mom. But I had no way to express it. And that was like the only way I was able to like express myself. I would say like from, yeah, like 9 years old and like above, like that was my way of expressing, just like throwing tantrums because I wasn't seen and heard by my mom. My grandmother really was always at the forefront in my life during those years. And my grandmother, which is my mother's mom, is the matriarch of our family. Even though you may not need advice, she would give advice to you. So everyone turns to her, loves her, and also fears her.
Where is your dad in this whole thing?
He was kind of around. He lived with us, but he wasn't really there. He would go run his businesses, so he was never home. This has been the case even in Hong Kong. There wasn't really strong models for me growing up, and I kept trying to find sources of masculine models that I could look to growing up, but at the same time, it was like very difficult.
And I think it's important too for you as a child growing up to, because every child just wants attention and love. It's natural, right, from our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like too, because your dad's not around, that you kind of had to step in a little bit into that position. Do you think so?
Yeah. This is more of a realization later on in life, maybe in the last few years, right? Of being given the responsibilities, like supporting my brother and helping our household, and just taking on that role of the man in the home. And this wasn't like nonverbal because a lot of family and friends also like use those words to me. Oh, since you're the oldest son, make sure to take care of your mom and your brother. Yeah, I definitely see myself for a long time as like a partner with my mother in this relationship, making sure that our family is taken care of, more than her being my mother. When I broke up with a girlfriend, this was like almost 10 years ago now, and going to visit a good friend of mine who's known me for quite a few years, and her first comment to me when she saw me was, "Terrence, why are you so serious?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're so serious looking." Because at that time, after breaking up with that particular girlfriend, my masks were like full on, like it was really bad that like I recognized that I wasn't able to like fully express myself in that relationship. And so when my friend pointed out, "Terrence, you're so serious," I'm like, "Oh." So I asked myself, what do I need to do to like not be so serious? At that moment in time, I don't know, someone told me, "Oh, maybe you should try improv." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give improv a shot." Because I was like, I'm willing to do anything to like not be this way. By the end of the third semester, one of my classmates, and I'm really thankful for him, and I still tell him that every time I talk to him, was he asked me, he's like, "Terrence, I still want to challenge you in expressing your anger." And it really wasn't until like a year ago that I really learned how to like truly express this anger out in a healthy way. Really after that improv course that then started leading me, or things came to me that allowed me to begin the work of like unraveling all these patterns and masks that I've put on. So the improv was the first one. The second one, that I'm also extremely thankful to my dear friend from high school, was he said to me one day as we were driving, "There's something I want you to go experience. I don't know how to explain it, but I know you'll like it." I just trusted him, and I showed up, and it was to a men's group. I just said, "Where has this been all my life? This is exactly what I needed, to be in a safe space with men from all walks of life." To me, that's when my work to be able to authentically express who I am, and to be comfortable with my emotions really started in like joining a men's group. To me, that was huge for me, to be able to express myself, to practice how to be authentic to my own voice, and then to also watch other men of all ages from all socioeconomic like backgrounds, all wanting to like unlearn patterns and habits that don't serve them, so that we all can be better men to our family, to our community, and in our careers. Like to me, I'm like, wow, like this is what I need. Beginning in the safe space, I was then able to like take some of that and like then dripping it and like practicing it in all these different places, like at home. And at first it was a struggle because I'm like, oh, they're not responding the way I want. And I got frustrated at first. And then I realized actually it's not them, it's me. So I just need to keep practicing this. I really value my relationships with my family and my friends. And these were the two places where I definitely felt like I haven't been authentic and I didn't have those deep and meaningful relationships with my friends or with my immediate and extended family. In the last 4 years, I've definitely seen the most transformation in my relationships with my family and friends. To the point now, I definitely feel much more like connected. I could feel like I could be myself with them. And what that looks like is, for example, is traditionally when we have like family gatherings, so all my uncles, aunts, and cousins, we all come together during like dinner time. Everybody eats. During dinner, we would like speak about certain things, but it was like current events and stuff like that, and then everybody leaves. But then in the last like 4 to 6 years, because of the practice for myself of how to be authentic and intentionally wanting to like connect deeper with my family, I've like proactively done is having things to like engage my extended family and like talk about deeper things beyond just like the current events, and really intending for that and kind of like designing it in a sense so that our family can be together instead of just coming together for food and then leave. And by doing that, I've noticed that my relationship with my aunts and uncles and my cousins have like strengthened more so in the last few years because of that. And similar with my friends as well, where I've now felt more comfortable, even though I've known some of these friends for like 15, 20 years. Growing up, I've always been hesitant to like share with them because I always feel like, oh, you guys don't have a brother with a disability and a single parent, like you guys will never understand. But now through the practice in the men's group, I'm now able to like share with them like, oh, this is the struggles I'm having. And for them to like just listen definitely means a lot. So for me to like feel really like safe and comfortable to like even be able to share with them has been a huge transformation for me. And then to see the responses I get from my friends too is such a beautiful thing. Like I remember even recently going through the Holy program, right, for self-love, and just like sharing with my like high school friends about, oh, this is what I'm learning, and for them to be like, oh, wow. And we went into this like session of just like authentically acknowledging each other, like what we see in each other. Because I think in that class I was sharing with them, I was just saying like, oh, I like compare myself to my friends, and they're like, oh wow, like I didn't know that you compare us like this, but then here's our perspective of it. And for us to like have that deep and meaningful conversation, to me, I never like anticipated that, but to me now I know that it is possible, that because of my own practice of like this like self-judgment and mask that I put on, that people won't understand me. But now that I'm like more comfortable with myself and how to authentically express who I am and what I need to say, that I'm comfortable in doing that in the different circles that I'm in now.
What do you think is the benefit when you're able to express yourself fully, authentically you?
I would say that when I'm able to authentically express who I am, I feel free. I feel like I'm not holding anything back. Like there's no secrets, there's no like politeness. Like this is just authentically me. And I could feel it in my body when I am expressing authentically, and I'm able to feel when I'm not. So my body has been like a huge barometer to that. Yeah, the word that keeps coming up, just this sense of like freedom, of being able to just be authentically me. And I would say that is one of the benefits and value of being able to self-express.
So what's your message for people who are listening?
My message is be authentically ourselves, because this is going to be able to allow us to connect with the people that we love and care about. It will help us in all aspects of our lives, because in the end, by being free to be ourselves will allow us to connect and collaborate with so many people. And yeah, it just feels so good. Like even right now, as I'm speaking and feeling authentically me, like my whole body is like just tingling and my heart is open. Who doesn't want to live that way? Like that feels like I am living. So just be authentically you.
What would you want to tell men specifically, Terrence?
To fellow men, I just want to say that I'm with you. You are not alone in this process. It's scary that, and each of us will have had different experiences growing up, but to have felt loved, seen, or heard growing up, I just want you to know that you are loved and that it is safe to share our emotions and our expressions. As a masculine man, we may have been taught that, oh, we gotta suck it up and not to cry. But let's rewrite this language together, that being a whole masculine man also includes being able to express ourselves and cry. And that's what makes us whole. So I would really encourage men out there, as uncomfortable as this may be, to like watch a man like me like cry, that it's okay to cry in front of like a video recording. It's okay to cry at home. It's okay to cry in public and to express those emotions, because that is not weakness. That is our strength as men, to be able to demonstrate our emotions to our family, to our friends, to our kids, our nephews and nieces, that we are also human too. That's what I have to say to all men in this world. By being able to express authentically, I'm not hiding anything and I'm not holding anything back. And to me, the results speak volumes, because both my brother has recovered from his mental health challenges and is now thriving. And our mother just recently recovered from her mental health challenges. So for me, I definitely feel that by me having spoken up at a much earlier time and to have these difficult conversations at a much earlier stage, then allowed my family to then just go through their recovery that they needed, and for them to trust in me because we had these difficult conversations early. So to me, this is definitely a big benefit, as like something that we could practice and learn, and then in turn could be applied in very impactful ways to be it the families that we're in, or communities that we're in, or even businesses and companies that we're in. To me, I definitely feel that that's been a big benefit to me, having practiced this for the past 8 years.
Awesome, thank you. So thank you, Terrence, again for as well just being so real and authentic on this video, just allowing yourself to share emotion. I think that's already itself a demonstration of what being authentic and real and being you is. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rain. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, please comment. I love to hear your thoughts. Please like and follow our pages, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you for watching.